And if I was gonna do a little drill with this, for you guys to feel this, I might feel the trail hand bend it back 45, right? Let it fully release 45. And you notice when I do that from down the line, the club should be like reappearing underneath my shoulder.
And you see it on video of the amateurs, there's like one big chip shot, right?
Yeah,
I mean, the club's got to release past the body. It's what we do, right?
Yeah.
So, and when you're hanging on to that right angle, and we see people working on this drill, and dragging this thing in, it's actually ruining their wrist and hand motion through the golf ball.
Yeah, you gotta let that go, especially for speed and distance. All right, guys, last day to take advantage of this awesome offer, 76% off our deep to shallow training program. Gonna be priced $197. You could get it for just $47, but you gotta get it by the end of today. You also get those 4 bonuses that are in there. Listen, Craig and I developed deep to shallow to be able to help you. Right? Ultimately, we do all these videos. We're here on YouTube to help you with your game. But if you can't come see us in person, if we can't see your swing, we thought, how the heck could we really help all of you that are watching? And that's why we developed Deep to Shallow. We put a lot into this program to make it really easy, simple, step-by-step, no matter where you're at with your game, no matter your skill level, no matter how much you practice. If you want better contact, you want better direction control, you want better distance, you want a better game, this is exactly what's gonna do that for you. Just follow the steps as we show you. It's worked with our students in person, online, over the past 20 years. Is gonna work for you as well. Please take advantage before the end of the night tonight to get this awesome offer. I know it could completely change your golf game. It'll be the first link in the description down below. All right, guys, in today's video, we're talking about how to release the club with your driver, how to get more effortless power, hit the ball more solid and farther. Myself, Mr. Craig Hansen from World Class Golf are going to talk you through that today. Let's dive right in. Okay, Mr. Craig, we're back for another one. If you guys haven't seen the past couple videos we did with Craig, Mr. Craig Hansen, World Class Golf, we're going to put the link to his channel down below. If you haven't seen that before, which I'm sure many of you have, please go check that out. Craig's awesome guy, awesome coach, great videos. Craig, in today's video, the release with the driver, I want to kind of set the stage here a little bit, and then maybe we'll talk through some of the details and give you guys really like a 1 or 2 step drill that they can use to help get some more effortless power and hit the ball more solid. One of the things, Craig, I saw you talk about in your videos is as players, let's say the amateur golfer versus the pro, or maybe for the senior golfer, the pros are really good at using their body, right, to generate speed and power and have a release pattern to go with that. But as we get older, or if we're not able to use our body exactly like the pros, that we're able to use our release and the arms and hands to generate some speed and generate some power. If you don't mind, why don't you start with the iron, and then I'll kind of work us up to the driver, kind of what you mean by that, and then we'll work through some of the details of the release.
Yeah, I think, look, when golfers age, I mean, we slow down. It's just the way it is. But one of the things, especially for a lot of the senior men players out there, is their hands and wrists stay strong really for their entire lives, right? And if we can start to use the hands and the wrists much more dynamically and effectively, not only do we pick up more speed, we create better angles coming down and through the golf ball. And it really sets off what we're looking at, more of an effortless style swing, which is really just a great thing to have.
Yeah, and it's interesting watching your videos. And one of the things I really like that you do, Craig, is what you call front end therapy. If you could show us maybe to this front end camera and then maybe forward this way, really where we're trying to get to with the release in the follow through.
Yeah, it's a great way just to touch on what great players are doing, right? So you're forcing yourself into a position where you wouldn't normally be. Now, I'll start off in this direction here. So one of the things we're looking at here is that the right wrist flexion here and the lead wrist extension. Now you can see that movement there. Now, this move here we're seeing with so many great players, there's always going to be some rotation in the hands and fingers. This motion here really adds to that. Now, what we're going to learn, it's almost like a slingshot style release here. And for the aging players, it's just brilliant to be able to pick up your club head speed. From this side here, what we're looking at doing is when we're around parallel to the ground here, when the arms are halfway through, you'll see that I'll have the 3 fingers here of the lead wrist. You'll look like it's rotated a lot, but actually what you're still seeing a large part of this lead arm. If I did turn and rotate to level, you wouldn't see that. So this is just a really good guide and gauge. You can see the club head there as I've moved through. It hasn't rotated, so we're not rolling everything over. That's an important thing to notice. Now, what we can do is we can start in this position here and simply just capture a feel and then come back and take your address position and then just hit a ball and just stop that position there. And you can see when I come back to the camera here, the hands are in this position here. You see that right wrist, and this frees up your entire motion. I think, Eric, one of the things to notice here is when we're starting to build in, now we're not flipping it, right? But we're building in angles into impact, but we're letting it go. And we can see that when we start to get some real, I like to call it like fluidity of motion, right? When we start to get the hands and wrists to work effectively, the body will follow. But this is just one of the greatest ways really to pick up your club head speed. Starting in this position, coming back and hitting a ball, and you start to capture all sort of different areas and feels in your swing.
And one of the things I like, Craig, too, that you said there about, hey, we're not flipping it, which is a lot of golfers are going to be nervous because they're like, hey, I'm already doing this, too early. Isn't that just me doing that more? Really important in your videos. Like, what's about the shaft lean? There's like a couple degree shaft lean we're looking for at impact.
Well, the PGA average, we're looking at really the great ball strikes from your mid to high irons, right? You're looking around 12 degrees of shaft lean. And as we get into even certain pitch shots around 80 to 120 yards, you're going to see more than that. So we're definitely, the last thing we're doing is coming into impact here and flipping it too early, where we're really touching grass before we touch the ball, adding artificial loft, fat shots and the thin shots. So that's an important part to notice, that there is a certain timing here. There's going to be, I think Justin Rose said it a few years ago, it's fantastic. The highest point of the speed of the club is felt like, you're feeling like it's 30 centimeters out in front of the golf ball, right? So if you can get the timing here, and there's always going to be some timing in the swing, right?
Sure.
I mean, the rhythm, the timing, to believe that there's absolutely no timing in the swing and there's a certain swing style that's not dependent upon timing, well, you're dreaming.
Yeah.
And so if you can get your hands here to get the club to swish out in front, and then you can time that motion, you just only need a half swing at the start. I mean, you've hit that thing, it's gone so far, but you can see that hand and wrist motion. From there, when you work your way back, you can start to get yourself into really strong positions here. And this is how you pick up your speed. This is how you pick up your angles and really can develop a fantastic hand and wrist motion.
I got a couple more things there, Craig. We're going to keep you in the ball game there for a second longer. So one of the other things, there's two things I want to talk about. One is going from back 45 into through 45. But the other thing, if you could just show us that follow through motion one more time, just kind of hold your follow through for a second. It's interesting when he's doing this, there's also the vertical rehinging component that I see Craig talk about in a lot of his videos too. And Craig, go ahead and relax for a second and then do it towards this camera. Go forward this way. So obviously we're talking about the right wrist going forward into flexion, the lead wrist and extension, but simultaneously you can see from here the angle of the rehinging. Go ahead and relax. In the follow through, Craig, I know we see a lot of golfers when they're doing their, let's say through the ball, where they get no of the rehinging, right? There's no rehinging with the extension of the lead wrist. So when you're teaching someone to do this, is that something you're maybe actively having them feel, like get the butt of the club towards the target at the end?
Yeah, definitely. One of the things we work on a lot of the time is to get, and we've seen it with McIlroy, Couples, Oostoys, and people with really effortless style swings, Ernie Els. We're seeing Nelly the end of the grip here pointed up before the hands get behind the head. Now, as easy as that might sound, a lot of people think it's really easy to do. It's actually not, but it's just a great checkpoint. If you can get up into this position here, swing back and swing through, and you start then to mimic and touch on what great players are doing. It's just such an effective way to pick up your club head speed.
Yeah, it's big. And guys, I see this all the time. It's one of the things we've been trying to talk about more recently. It's this part, the wrist going forward, but it's also the rehinging on the way through. It's a key point to look at in your swing. Now, Craig, as we take that to driver, I know there's a little subtle difference we may talk about rotation rates, but generally speaking, the wrist motion works about the same.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And obviously this video about, effortless power with the driver. One of the things Craig talks about a lot, if we look at the trail wrist, right? Or let's say going from 45 to 45.
Yeah.
When we make a backswing, we're trying to get the trail wrist bent back about 45 degrees.
That's right.
And then when we make the follow through, we're trying to get the lead wrist bent into extension 45 degrees.
Exactly. And that's a tough thing for amateur golfers because they just believe it's being flipped then incorrectly. Yeah.
And it's interesting when you go through and do this feel, it's getting that, letting the club head go, and that rehinging is so important. But to feel that, there's this version of the front end therapy that Craig showed. I like that, right? If I was going to do this with driver, right, I might show kind of the same thing where I'm starting, even from here, Craig,
yeah, sure,
with the shaft parallel. And when you guys to feel this, And you can see where my wrists are at this point in time, right? I'm trying to feel this here, take it back and get back to that spot.
It's like where every great player's always been, right?
Yeah. And you know, when you come through like this, the amount of twisting that you do or don't need to do to your club face is going to have a lot to do with where your club face is leading into it. So obviously these great players that we're talking about are having the club face square enough early enough to be very passive on the way through. If your club face is more open, you either got to fix that or you got to do some kind of twisting right on the way through. But I like starting forward, guys, when you're doing this here, or even Craig, I like that drill where you get the butt of the club at the target. So my wrists are fully rehinged. I like that too. Bringing it back and getting back to that spot.
Yeah, exactly.
Feeling that club head going.
Just gives you such good timing and feel through the golf ball.
And if I was going to do a little drill with this for you guys to feel this, I might feel the trail hand bend it back 45, right? Let it fully release 45. And you notice when I do that from down the line, the club should be like reappearing underneath my shoulder. It's not through my hip. It's not above through my head. I'm replaning that club through my shoulder. But it's back fully 5 and fully released. Or if I did the lead wrist, Craig, I'd go like, hey, let me get this pretty flat.
Yeah.
And then get that fully extended. That might be a better...
You just create so many feels. What do you feel through the golf ball there? Can you feel any extension as well when you do it?
I do for sure. I mean, of my wrist or my body?
Your body.
Yeah, I mean, I feel both. I feel the lead wrist extending a little bit, right? For me, I've always come from the face being more open with more twist.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel a little bit of the lead wrist extending. I certainly feel my body turning, extending.
Yeah, the body follows it, definitely.
Yeah. But I'm not like, I see a lot of players do this, Craig, and they're like trying to keep the arm and club in like one line.
Well, that's the thing that they get, and you see it on videos of the amateurs, it's like one big chip shot, right?
Yeah,
I mean, the club's got to release past the body. It's what we do, right?
Yeah.
So, and when you're hanging on to that right angle, and we see people working on this drill, and dragging this thing in, it's actually ruining their wrist and hand motion through the golf ball.
Yeah, you got to let that go, especially for speed.
Especially for drivers.
Effortless. Craig, let me have you hop back here for a second. I'm going to do one or two kind of through the ball just to feel it. So I'm going to feel it, let it release, come back and get back to that spot is what I'm feeling. Let me hit one with that same sensation. Really feeling the trail wrist go back 45 all the way through 45. That's going to be my main feel here. I like the lead wrist, or trail wrist feels rather.
Oh, that's a pure strike.
Yeah, so that's solid high. That might be down the right side of the fairway. Good shot for me. For me there, I'm feeling the right wrist bending back kind of towards the camera a little bit, and then allowing that to slowly and steadily, right, be releasing through the ball.
Yeah, yeah.
To the point Craig said, we're not flipping it, you know, depending upon the club, those mid irons, 12 degrees of shaft lean. You know, with my driver, depending upon things, you know, you might just try and get that line back up to 90, let's just say.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not trying to be here.
No,
certainly.
definitely not.
But as I'm continuing to move through the ball, I'm really looking, Craig, I like to feel like that thing is lined up at about 45.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for me who has, I'd say, like normal amount of body motions.
Yeah, okay.
I don't look like Dustin Johnson,
Yeah.
who might line that up at the target.
Who does?
Yeah, Dustin Johnson. That's
Yeah,
not
that's
many.
it. Yeah. That's it.
So I think for most of our golfers watching, feeling like that gets lined up kind of at that 45, allowing those wrist angles to throw,
Yeah.
again, with the humongous caveat that you have to get the club face closed enough.
Yeah.
Like if you're coming down there with a wide open club face, you're going to do this. You're going to say, Eric, what the hell? I went way right. Well, we've got to close the club face early enough.
Club face is king, isn't it?
Club face is king, queen, everything else. Back and through. And I kind of like that starting forward position. Let's do one more. Anything else on the release? You want to do a little bit of the driver versus iron kind of club face closure?
Yeah, I think that's a nice strike there as well. I think it's important here to notice, and everyone can experiment around just a little bit here. And like when we're looking at, just give me your driver there,
Yeah.
and I'll go to this camera here. So when we're looking at the driver, and you'll see this time and time again with great players, you're going to see, because we're further away from the golf ball, we're hitting a little bit more on the way up, it's a longer club, it's the fastest club, we're going to see a little bit more release, or we're going to see the club face, probably I should say, that rotates a little bit more. Now we're going to generally see that through the golf ball when the shaft is around parallel, we're going to see the club head rotated this much. Now with irons, we're in a little bit closer, it's a shorter lever, and at times we'll see the club head not rotating as much. But I just think for all players out there, you can just experiment around with a little bit more of an underneath or a little bit more of an around release, and everyone can sort of capture a feel there and improve their ball striking.
And so with the driver, there might be like there's a little bit more of the face rotation through the hit compared to the iron.
Yeah, yeah.
And would you, in a lot of our videos, Craig, because obviously we got a lot of people with the same issues, they hit weak right? They're losing distance, the ball's going shorter than they want, and usually missing to the right. So I would often encourage when people do this release for them to like not be shy about the face rotation.
Exactly.
And or like close it sooner.
Yeah.
But do something to close it.
Yeah.
Are you okay with doing it at both ends of the spectrum?
I am, and I just think like when you see like great players, and I think this is what amateurs don't realize, when I've taught like 100 tour pros or something, when you see them grip a driver, like unconsciously they grip stronger. Like you see more knuckles, you'll see an extra knuckle. No joke, if you see like a tour player hit a 9-iron, you see them hit a driver, and like you do it as well, you'll see the grip being in a stronger position, whereas amateurs will sort of keep the same grip. So if you could turn this left hand in a little bit and keep that lead wrist flat at the top, it's going to close the club into a position that's going to help really the masses of the people out there.
And you kind of like more of like a 3-knuckle.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. It's a sensitive topic, isn't it? We spoke about this before, like grips, and people like hear a grip. But like one of the ways to change it as well is just giving you like your unconscious mind a chance. If you take your grip and you sit on the couch at night and you pop the club on your shoulder, I'm not kidding, just for half an hour, you're watching TV, do it for a couple of nights in a row, all of a sudden your mind sort of allows it to happen. So moving slowly towards a 3-knuckle grip, Eric, so many people are going to hit the ball so much better.
Yeah, I like that. So letting the club release through the golf ball is a big one. Just want to add some layers of detail, but we can kind of keep it as simple as the version 1 that Craig was showing in the beginning and not being shy about adding the rehinging. I just want to say like 100 times there, because as we know with our lessons, it's like that works really, 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 really good so long as you close the club face.
Exactly.
All those players that we show on the screen who have great releases don't have open club face throughout the swing.
Yeah.
Like we have to hit that first. Luckily, we did some videos around that. Craig Hansen, World Class Golf. Hopefully you guys enjoyed those. There's gonna be some videos of us on his channel as well. We'll put the link for him down below. Appreciate you guys watching. All right, guys, thanks for watching today's video. Just a quick reminder, today's the last day to take advantage of Deep to Shallow. I know this could completely change your game, really help you take your game to the next level, but I need you to go check it out and take a little action here. You've got until the end of today to take advantage of the 76% offer. Get it for $47 versus the $197. Again, that's over midnight tonight. I hope that you'll take advantage. I know this could completely transform your game. It'll be the first link in the description down below.